let's see here. So Russ is asking about copper. Would you need to check for copper as well? Copper is important. Yes. I mean, if you're doing a nutritional evaluation, and this is true, if you're trying to get a comprehensive evaluation, is to measure, don't just stop at measuring zinc or magnesium or vitamin D or omega-3. You know, you should really look at, or have your doctor look at all the nutrients. Don't just stop shy. Copper is very important in an enzyme system called superoxide dismutase. And remember, for men, one of the keys to virility and healthy offspring is strong swimming and strong protected semen. So the semen are one of the richest sources of antioxidant. And so copper helps to make that antioxidant that protects and preserves semen on their swimming journey to fertilize the eggs. So if a man has poor antioxidant function, not only can that impact the viability of a pregnancy, it can impact the health of the baby, right? So we want semen with less potential for DNA defects, and that's where antioxidants are so critical to health. And so copper, being responsible for one of the most potent antioxidant systems in the body, certainly would be helpful. Do I recommend, off topic, but do I recommend eating white potatoes due to the high controversy or sugar? I'm not opposed to eating potatoes if you're not reactive to them or you're not reactive to nightshades. I think where people get in trouble with potatoes is the quantity. You know, just like with anything else, a little goes a long way. And if your idea of eating potatoes is like that big baked potato half the size of your head, smothered in bacon bits and fake butter and, and processed cheese, that's probably not a great idea. But, if you have some white potatoes now and again, I don't think that's going to be a problem unless you're allergic to them. So what do I know about bioidentical hormone pellets? I know that pellets are in my opinion, not as good of an idea if you're looking at doing bioidentical hormone replacement therapy as oral medicines. And the reason why, when you put that pellet under your skin, it's there for 3 months. The effect of the medicine is there for 3 months. So generally not removing that pellet once it's installed. And if the dose is off or wrong, you could go estrogen dominant super quick, and that's not a good idea. And because you can't control the dose, you have to just wait it out. So it's, that's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of the pellet over the oral medication. So again, that's something you would talk to your doc about, but that's one of the reasons why pellets can be problematic. I get a lot of people that come to see me, they're on those pellets and they're so over medicated. It's unbelievable. It's almost malpractice how over medicated they are sometimes on the pellets. It's not to say that everyone with pellets has that problem, but it's common enough. Can having neuropathy affect the ability to orgasm in women who have celiac disease? Absolutely, it can. Neuropathy, especially depending on where the neuropathy is, there are different types of neuropathy. There's peripheral neuropathies, there's central neuropathies. It can impact. Remember that sexual function is a combination of how your nerves communicate to the tissue, how your endocrine hormones communicate to the tissue, how blood flow reaches the tissue, right? It's all of those things. And so if the nerves for you are damaged and not communicating well, it's certainly going to impact your sexual pleasure. Can veganism negatively impact sexual life and or sex hormones? It's a great question, and the answer is absolutely it can. If you're on a vegan diet, but a vegan diet is not the right diet for you. Again, there's a lot of propaganda on diets, all diets, not just vegan diets, but all forms of diets. And so vegan diet's not right for everybody. And a lot of people make a conscientious decision to go vegan, and it's the wrong diet for them, and their health ends up deteriorating as a result of that decision. So I see a lot of people that go vegan, and about 18 months into that vegan journey, their health is now starting to deteriorate. That's why they end up in my office, and now we're trying to repair, a year and a half or so of malnutrition as a result of picking the wrong diet and following along on the wrong diet. So it definitely can have a negative impact a vegan diet can. You have to be careful. There's certain things on a vegan diet you're not going to get as robust amounts of zinc and copper and B12 and methionine and other important amino acids on a vegan-based diet. You're just not. And if you're not aware of that, you go vegan and you're not having those levels measured, monitored, potentially supplemented, you could end up hurting yourself in the long run. So I think more commentary on white potatoes. Not all white potatoes are GMO. Some white potatoes are GMO, but you can buy organic potatoes that are not genetically modified. So again, I don't want to scare anyone away from potatoes. If you're not allergic to them, you don't necessarily have to avoid it. But you definitely want to make sure if you are eating it that you're buying organic and keeping it reasonable. Clean sources of protein supplements. I'm a little biased there. My opinion is use either our Warrior protein or our Ultra Pure protein. If you're trying to source a really good organic protein that has a high nitrogen value, that is not cross-contaminated with a bunch of garbage and potentially even as well gluten. How does selenium affect sperm count? So selenium regenerates glutathione. It's one of its primary functions is in the regeneration of the antioxidant glutathione, which is one of the primary drivers of protection of sperm cells. So glutathione is very, very protective as an antioxidant of the quality of your sperm cells and the survivability of your sperm cells. So selenium deficiency can lead to poor, lower antioxidant function, and in that way affect sperm quality. And sperm count, because when sperm quality is poor, they die quicker, and so the viability of the sperm are not good. And this is the case with a lot of men who struggle with the infertility issues. One of the ironies I find in medicine is that a lot of times when the woman and the man are going to the fertility doctor, all the focus is on the female, right? The female goes on the hormones. All the focus on what's wrong is with the female, but in many cases it's the man. It's the man that has the problem, and then the female is actually being blamed. And so I would say if you're in a situation where you're having fertility issues as a couple, you should both be being evaluated nutritionally for guys for sperm morphology, for viability, and for sperm count, but also your overall health, your overall nutritional status, because there are more than just those 3 types of tests that infertility doctors can run. It can help you understand the health and the vibrancy of your semen. And then ladies, you should also be being evaluated as well, not just pumped full of hormones. One of the terrible side effects of the fertility industry is that couples that are not capable of having babies on their own are having multiple birth babies, and they weren't healthy already. So their bodies were not allowing them to have a healthy, viable pregnancy, because your body's smart. It doesn't want you to get pregnant if you can't support a viable pregnancy. And so bypassing that with a bunch of hormones, in my opinion, it's the wrong way to start parenting. It's one bad decision that can land you into the boat of having very unhealthy children, and now you're a caretaker for the rest of your life. We see this a lot in kids that poorly develop, and the babies are born with abnormalities, mental abnormalities, and other physical abnormalities that become major burdens on a parent through the course of the parent's life, all because the parent was malnourished and wanted to rush that part of it. So I would just encourage any of you who are at that age where you're trying to think about raising a healthy family and you're struggling, have your nutritional status evaluated before you jump into all those different hormone therapies. They have a tendency to create a hell of a boatload of problems for a person in their life. So Mary asked, what if she said, I mentioned 4 types of estrogen to be tested. What if you've gone through menopause and was told only estradiol need to be tested? No, I don't agree with that. I don't know who told you that, but you really need to evaluate more than just estradiol if you're trying to get a full read on evaluating estrogen if you've got estrogen problems. Estradiol is a form of active estrogen, but I've seen cases where estradiol was normal, but estrone and estriol were not, and creating problems for people. So, and on that second part of that question, is a Dutch test an okay test to measure estrogen? It is. You can use a Dutch test to measure estrogen. You can also use a blood test to measure those things as well. Would I recommend bioidentical hormones through transdermal cream? It depends. Depends on the person, depends on the situation, the issue. Can gluten cause heart palpitations in AFib? It absolutely can. Is this a serious question? My pet turtle has been heavily, no, I'm not laughing if you're serious, but my pet turtle has been heavily glutenized and can barely move. I'm imagining like a fast-moving turtle, right? Anyway, so you got to be pulling my leg, right, on the turtle question. Red Duke said baked potato peels are healthy, but Joel Wallach says not to eat them. What should I do? I think if you haven't had your reactivity to potatoes tested and you're questioning whether or not you should eat them, get that tested first, and then you can make at least a decision that's unique to you and not just based on a generalized bit of information from two opposing viewpoints. Yeah, so somebody, yeah, you got me. The turtle question, yeah, I didn't think that was real. I just kept thinking of the tortoise and the hare, you know, slow and steady wins the race. Your turtle got gluten. I don't know the biology. I'm not a vet. I don't know the biology of turtle physiology, but not that I would imagine that gluten would be super healthy for turtles. But anyway, good one. You got me. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up. It's right on the hour. And I'm getting hungry and I want to go home and eat dinner. And you should do the same. Anyway, if you've got questions that we didn't get to tonight, feel free to forward those over to glutenology@gmail.com. We'll do our best to get them answered for you. And make sure you come back next week for another episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. If you want to get on our email list so that you're not censored and our content's not being diverted away from you, then come visit me at glutenfreesociety.org and sign up for our newsletter, and that way we never, ever, ever have to worry about censorship and the information you're asking for getting to you. So we'll see you next Monday night for another episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Last thing, I got somebody was asking, trying to watch the master class. Mel, if we can throw that link up to the master class. If you try to watch Glutenology, the master class, and anyway, missed it, we'll put a link up below this video where if you go and register, you can still watch that masterclass absolutely free. Again, have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next Monday for another episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Take care. Hey, if you've got a functional medicine or health question that you'd like me to answer for you, make sure you send me an email, glutenology@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to create a video answer just for you. Have a great day.